Welcome to a slideshow on the lighthouses of South Africa, the southern part of the continent, starting out around Cape Town. This tour was run by the U.S. Lighthouse Society in 2018. Chris and Janet Brooks were our tour leaders. You probably are wondering, why are we building lighthouses down in South Africa in the 1800s? And the answer is that the Dutch, the Portuguese, the English were interested in developing nautical trade routes to the east, that is to India and China. In order to do that, they had to get around South Africa. So we're going to start at Cape Town. We're going to look at some of the attractions there as well as the lighthouses, go all the way down to the bottom, and then head up to the right on the east side. Adu is an elephant farm, we'll see, all the way up to the top there to Tug Lebroff. This is the South African flag, which you'll see all over the place. These are some of the sights you see as you ride in the bus around Cape Town and also as you walk around. There's no shortage of entrepreneurs with their little stands. You even get music, and the tip box is right there in front. A chance to get a group photo with this picture frame, and in the background is Table Mountain. We're going to be going up there. It looks like they had one of these painting contests, and these are actually a rhinoceros. When we were there in 2018, they were in the midst of a great big water shortage, and this display was set up to try to get you to conserve. It says each piece of foam in this swimming pool represents 1 day's worth of water left. It doesn't look too good. We're looking at the back of a hardware store, and these green tanks, actually, think of them as a cistern of a lighthouse. You'll see these as we travel around next to buildings, and what they're doing is collecting the rainwater and putting it in these tanks. We're next going to go up to Table Mountain. Now, this is one of the nature's creations down there in South Africa. Basically, we're going to go up a mountain in a gondola car, but the top of the mountain is roughly flat. This is now the top, and not only is it roughly flat to walk around, but also you get a nice view of Cape Town from the top. That is Cape Town down there. That round building you see is a soccer stadium. Now, once they got the lighthouses set up and everything, this was going good, except for one problem. By the time they got over to China or India, a third of the crew was dead. And of course, what they didn't understand is you need to have fresh water and fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. You just can't go on these long trips without that. So what they decided to do was build a colony year-round down in Cape Town where the ships could stop and replenish supplies. And of course, that took care of the problem. Not surprising, the people living in this colony ended up bringing down, in addition to themselves, flowers, fruits, all kinds of things, and planting them, and we end up with this botanical garden. This is the bark on another tree. That's a live person in the park. Notice the name on this building, Christian Barnard Memorial Hospital. He was the doctor with the first heart transplant. This is the Nelson Mandela Gateway to Robben Island, which is where the first lighthouse is located. This is a photo of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in the prison you're going to see, and he was sentenced to trying to disrupt and stop apartheid. This is the prison structure on this island. This is actually Nelson Mandela's cell, and he spent years in it, and you're actually looking at the entire thing. This is the courtyard where they were able to go out and get some exercise. This gentleman here, who was giving us the tour of the prison and also the lighthouse coming up, was actually in a neighboring cell and knew Nelson Mandela. And he also was causing trouble, so they locked him up. This is our first lighthouse. He's got the key. Up we go. still have the Fresnel lenses in these. From outside the lantern room up at the top, we're looking back now at Table Mountain, and you can see from a distance it looks like it's flat. On the way back from Robben Island on the boat, turned around and looked, and there is a breakwater light. Our next lighthouse. This is the lighthouse, and we're going to enter it from a building on the right-hand side that's not in this picture, and we're going to go up that long set of stairs. This is the building we went into to start the journey. This is like a big lecture hall. This tunnel takes us all the way up to the base of the lighthouse. Up we go. And eventually we get up to the top. This is the base of the rotation mechanism for the Fresnel lens. And look what they got, a Fresnel lens. This is the first lighthouse they built in South Africa in 1824, Green Point. They also then used this lighthouse to train future lighthouse keepers before they moved them up to their particular lighthouse. The ocean is to your right. Nice wood steps in these places. A Fresnel lens again. We are going to get our exercise climbing to the top of this one. This is clever. They put this plastic fencing that you see around farms and stuff for small animals all the way up here so no small child can fall through to the bottom. In order to get out to Roman Rock, they put us in these multiple rubber boats. And you can see with this Roman Rock, the best we're going to be able to do is to stay in the boats and circle around it to look at it. Looks like everybody's having a good time. This was another surprise lighthouse. We found this one here on the dock as we were coming back in the boat. This was our next lighthouse, and it was a little difficult to photograph. Not only was it in the middle of a parking lot, but you couldn't actually get back a distance and photograph it because there were buildings around it, and before you know it, the buildings were blocking it out. So this is about the best we could do. This is our next set of range lights, and in order to get there, we're going to get on a trolley, and we're going to take it to the upper, get out, and then from there we will walk down to the lower and then reverse ourselves. This is our trolley ride. We're now walking from the upper down to the lower, and basically the lower is just past that rock down the cliff. When we got off the trolley and got back to the parking lot, look who was here to keep us company. I don't think this was the first time he's done this either. Just a little banana snack. This was our next lighthouse to look at, and it was off in the distance, so this is about the best we could do. We all got off the bus and we're going to go down and walk through this national park to look at it. It's very scenic. This is a daisy, and it's like a squirrel in my area. They're all over the place. This is our next lighthouse, Danger Point, and we were able to get in this one and climb right to the top. It's very well kept up. At one point, these were probably the keys to the front door. And they have a rotating Fresnel lens. And this is what it looks like, the lens from outside of the building. And looking out now at the ocean from the lighthouse, you can see that under the water they've got stones. This is another lighthouse that is very well kept up. We were able to get right in it, climb right up to the top. That red box on the right of the door is actually a mailbox to mail your letters. Back home it would look like a fire alarm. And they have a Fresnel lens. Around the corner from the last lighthouse in about a mile, right at the edge of the sand, the water, is this sign which says, "You are now at the southernmost tip of the continent of Africa." Many people wanted to get their picture taken in front of the sign. Notice the sign there on the beach. To the left is the Indian Ocean, to the right, the Atlantic. This is our next lighthouse, but it's a little difficult to photograph. You can see the chain link fence all around it, so we couldn't get up the hill, nor could the bus get up there. So all we could do was stand down at this level and take pictures of it. So we just have a couple. Now, from where we took the pictures, if we walk a couple hundred feet to the left, we're down at the water's edge. And when you look at the ocean here, how rough it is, and the waves and things, you can see that you want to keep boats way away from this area. Our next lighthouse is Seal Point, and that's the building on the left you see in the distance. This is a good picture from this side, but we're going to drive around and get closer, but we aren't able to get inside of it. It also has a Fresnel lens. Our next lighthouse is all by itself on the beach, all inside a chain link fence, and there is nobody there. It looks like the light inside, not only is it Fresnel, but it's also red. This lighthouse is called Duncan Hill, the name of it. On the left, the pyramid is actually, and the walkway is actually a memorial to this gentleman's wife. And the plaque here says, "To the memory of one of the most perfect of human beings who has given her name to the town below." The woman is Elizabeth Frances Lady Duncan, and it is called Port Elizabeth. In addition to the pyramid, what you're looking at here is all tile, all with the different designs, all laid out as part of the memorial. Now you're looking at Port Elizabeth. This is the top of the hill with the buildings, and when you go down the hill, that's where the boats are coming in down below. Next, we are going to take a short tour of Addo Elephant National Park, looking at the animals that are there. These are the vehicles we rode around in. They are up kind of high, you notice, but Hopefully the lions can't jump up that high. The tour guide at the park brought a tortoise in on the bus so we could get a better look at it. Hopefully this guy's sleeping. We don't want to disturb him. Our next lighthouse is Great Fish Point, and we got in this one and were able to climb it. Very nicely restored. Very nice, both inside and out. A nice Fresnel lens in there. Now, on Hood Point, we were able to walk all around it and photograph it, but not climb it. Cooper Lighthouse, we only got to photograph it. It was pretty well locked up. Umhlanga rocks we got to photograph only, and you can see this was a more recent construction. This is the Green Point Lighthouse. This has two unique features. One, it's a second green point. The other one is in Cape Town. The second thing is it has this Olliewall shoal. Now this shoal is 4 miles long and it's about 4 miles off of the shoreline. They originally had this thing marked with two separate lighthouses, which the mariners found very confusing, so they've now gone to one, which is why it was built in 1905 and not back in the 1800s. The lights that they use is a fixed red and white light. So at one end you've got fixed red and at the other end you've got fixed white. And you'll see as I go around the lighthouse, we did not get in it. I've taken pictures of what I could of these lights. The day we were there, it was a rainy day. They didn't want to drive the bus up the mud road, so we had to walk it. The rain does make for colorful photos. It is all secured. This is our next lighthouse, and we did not get in this one. North Sand Bluff, we only got to photograph also. We didn't get in the yard either. This is the Tug Lebroff Lighthouse, and it's not surprising that it marks the beginning of the Tugela River. And when you see the terrain around here, you're going to realize how hard it is to get any pictures of this lighthouse. Now, we get off the bus and we're walking around looking, how are we going to be taking pictures in this jungle here of the lighthouse that we hardly can see the top poking out? And there's this lady in the house across the street, and she says, oh, just come right up my driveway. You get a better picture. Well, she had a steep driveway, probably went up at least a story and a half. So we get up on the driveway, and of course that's much better. And then she says, well, why don't you just come up on top of the deck here? Now, she got like a 2-car garage and a deck on top of it. So we go up there and like, wow, that's how we got these pictures. But before we realized it, she's coming out with cookies and punch. What a lady. You meet the nicest people. This is not a lighthouse. This was an extra experience on the trip. And it says it's the greatest Zula experience in Africa. And remember now, we're visiting this on a rainy day. In riding around on the bus, we go by these places, and this is actually an example of the aftermath of apartheid. And that arrow, yes, that is pointing to a porta potty. And these things are miles from nowhere. I mean, how you get to go from here to a job, I don't know. I assume that if you see clothes on the line drying, this is somebody's home. This is what I showed you much earlier in the show. The green tank on the left, actually, they're catching rainwater off the roof. The one on the right is the porta potty. When we were riding around on the bus in what I would call the middle class homes, neighborhoods, these signs were here.